Good evening, Porter Square Books followers and friends. Um, Josh here with your nightly bedtime story. As you'll notice, I'm not in my fiction section um, because it's bedtime story. So I'm in the room, my world famous solarium, as you all know from Twitter, because this has the comfier chair, the much cozier, comfier reading chair. Um, Tonight I'm going to be reading this will be a very Josh style bedtime story. I'll be reading a short passage from The Dreamed Part by Rodrigo Fresan. Um, for those of you who don't know Fresan, this is, I think, his third book available in English. He's also written a book that kind of goes with this one called The Invented Part, and something called The Bottom of the Sky, which was a staff pick of mine that I really loved. Because of some of the decisions and actions they made in the last couple of years, I don't particularly care who wins the next few Nobel Prizes in literature. But if you do, put Fresan on your dark horse list for like the 2024, 2025 prizes. You know, we get there and everything. The dream part is set in a world in which people have stopped dreaming, or nearly everyone has stopped dreaming because of a science experiment gone horribly wrong. And they refer to this absence of dreaming as the white plague. The protagonist, at least in this section that I'm going to read from, is one of the few people who can still dream, which makes him a very kind of important figure, a very kind of not powerful, but valued figure. And the type of dream he has is very interesting. Now, there's interlinear footnotes, which is an odd thing to say. There's some definite intellectual gymnastics involved in reading Fresan and kind of keeping track of what he is saying. He definitely asks you to do some imaginative work, but it's a bedtime story now. So instead of something like that, that's probably more indicative of Fresan's broader, more usual style, I wrote a very short passage because it's about dreaming. It is breathtakingly beautiful. The prose is just quietly stunning. It's very precise, which is interesting, and a lot of the beauty comes from its precision. And it is one of those rare images or rare passages where we get a very precise, very beautiful image for a type of love that doesn't often get described very much in fiction or media because it's not as big as the kind of Romeo and Juliet style stuff that we tend to spend the most of our media and entertainment time on. It's not familial. It's not like mother child or father child or child parent or it's not filial. But it's there, and it's something that I think a lot of people recognize. And it's one of the things I most love about books, especially books in translation and challenging books, is every now and again they'll find a way to describe something we all know and all have, but just didn't have the words for it before. So, for your bedtime story tonight, I'm going to read a short passage from The Dreamed Part by Rodrigo Fresan, and I hope you all enjoy it. He's alone in the elevator as it descends. And then, suddenly, there she is. He always sees her like he saw her the first time. And Ella sees him as if it were the first time because she can no longer remember the first time she saw him. All that's left of Ella's insomniac memory in a race against the clock is now exclusively devoted to the attempt to recover the ability to dream for all humanity, expelled from the Eden of dreams. Ella's mission is to find the pathways and signs that lead back home through a fierce forest, like the forest in those stories that were anything but tranquil and relaxing, and that parents read to their children before surrendering them to the world of dreams, and that function as the inspirational fuel for oneiric adventures and terrors. Ella looks at him without seeing him, like how you look not at a person, but at a specimen. And it's fine. He can't complain. Better this with Ella than nothing. And he looks at Ella, and it's not love at first sight. No, it's love at thousandth sight. but as if it were first. Every time he sees her, he sees again how he falls in love, how he stays in love, how he'll love her until the end of his dreams, until the end of the last dream he has left. Every time he sees her, he closes his eyes and sees her with his eyes closed, and he opens them again. And no, it wasn't a dream. There is Ella in the corner. His head is full of cables and electrodes, the little nocturnal music of the monitors, good night, bye, now he remembers and knows, the Beatles in his ears. His mouth still full of the taste of the psychotropic drug that puts you in an intermediate state between wakefulness and trance, and him on the cot, and Ella on top of him. But, not on top of him like Ella was on top of him so many times in bed, but now, rather like someone tending to something with extreme care, with a different form of love, with a love that perhaps is somewhere between the love of geishas and the love of beginners of any kind of hobby. A solitary activity where the other is indispensable, but always the other. Something outside and to which you devote an absolute yet dispassionate interest and care. Discipline and not sentiment. But maybe it isn't so. Maybe the unforgettable memory he's now starting to forget of how Ella once was with him, of how they were together, the one with the other with the one, obscures and distorts his perception of that other kind of love Ella feels for him now. A love less passionate and physical, but far greater and more generous, because through his person, with these electrodes and cables, Ella sticks and pins and plants on his head like flowers in a garden. Ella loves the whole human race. And, most loving of lovers, all Ella wants is to give the love of dreams back to humankind. The lost and, it's now known, essential to life ability to dream. Dreams turned out to be the foundation of reality, and though the poets and oracles and mystics have been saying and reciting and prophesizing it for millennia, Ella and the brains of the Oniarium paid them no mind. And so it was that they awoke the now impossible to put back sleep monster, the nightmare of an always awake monster that you're no longer afraid of dreaming of because it's already here awake and keeping everyone else awake, the White Plague. And that is why why none of them shut inside this edifice sleep anymore, seeking a solution to the problem they created themselves. Yes, those who now desperately seek the solution to the problem were the ones who caused the problem when they were seeking the solution to another problem, and the history of humanity, and even the great scientific advances, is overrun with episodes and errors like this. But none of them was as important and decisive as the one they caused with their triumphant defeat. And unlike what happened on the other occasions, no serendipity here. It wasn't seeking something miraculous. They found something else more or less miraculous, penicillin or LSD or the color magenta or that spring that slinks down stairs or the pacemaker or Post-its or Velcro or cellophane. No. A dead-end alleyway with no way out. Nothing good and everything bad, really bad. The worst came from turning on the lights of the White Plague. Something horrible was unleashed. Something was unleashed that could not be put back. If sleep deprivation is a direct route to psychosis, then dream deprivation. They dreamed of something impossible, and the only thing they got was the impossibility of dreaming. They wanted not that dreams might come true, but that dreams did come true. They wanted to know everything about dreams, therefore a subject as inexact as meteorological forecasts or stock market predictions, and they achieved the absolute exactitude of nothingness. And along with it, the progressive and in the end, total disappearance of memory. And the appearance of desperation and madness and living as if in a trance all day long, like those moments when we wake up or can't fall asleep. And goodbye to saying that thing about, I had a dream that I hope someday will come true. And the end of that trope that was so infuriating when everyone dreamed. A story being told that, in the end, was revealed to be a dream of the protagonist, and as such, a deception. Now, everyone would give anything at all for it to be a dream, or for their dreams never to be made reality. Anything would be better than sleepwalking all night long, like balancing on the least tight of ropes, like occupying a borderland that comes from nowhere and leads nowhere, intoning a countdown without bottom or zero, jumping with greater effort over a fence, like sheep bound for the slaughterhouse. So that is just a tiny sample of The Dreamed Part by Rodrigo Fresan. If you liked what you'd heard, there's more that's as beautiful and precise and challenging and interesting as that. There's also lots of weirder, stranger stuff. It's a really wonderful book. I hope you've all enjoyed this. I hope to see you all real soon again at Porter Square Books, and I'll definitely see you online. And now, a phrase that is often used when we end a bedtime story, I hope feels a little more interesting tonight after spending some time with Fresan. Good night and sweet dreams.